I think he does have some plan, long-term plan, whether it's in a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month time horizon, that he wants to leave this presidency with arguably the best economy, the world's ever seen. Whether that's fully within his control or not is TBD, of course.
Waves tight, let's start the show. DJ, down low, dropping heat today. Business tip stocks and the tech runway. Breaking news edges cutting through the fray.
What's going on, guys? The market is completely collapsing right now. 5% down the S&P today. We just closed off the markets. It is a bloodbath in the streets. People are scared. The fear greed index is at levels we haven't seen since almost COVID. Guys, what do you think about the market? It's brutal.
Honestly, making tacos for my job application in Chipotle. No, I brought that up before, but I've been taking it more serious today. And flipping tacos on the grill, meat doesn't sound that bad anymore. I don't know about you guys.
Honestly, the low stakes of it all sounds pretty great to me right now, because the way the market's been riding, it's actually been acting as if it was a friggin', I don't even know, like run-in-the-mill crypto. We're talking about the biggest companies in the world. Apple, 10% down today. Amazon, 9 something. Like, this is stuff that's unheard of. Like, this isn't your dad's or your grandpa's stock market. You know what I mean? This is we're in a whole different space right now.
The craziest hits have been these consumer companies like Restoration Hardware, Nike, Restoration Hardware, which in my opinion makes some of the best furniture in the United States. You think about luxury furniture that's selling for even $8,000, $10,000, $20,000. It's a staple of a lot of rich people's homes in the United States. They have restaurants down 40% today, which is absolutely crazy to think about. Like a stock like that being down, they're not going to be delisted, but it's just crazy. And there's no timeline for these tariffs, and Trump is not communicating the strategy right now. So the market has not obviously gone to total bloodbath mode. We've seen red numbers like this before, but it's very alarming. And this is just day one of these
Yeah.
tariffs.
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts here. I mean, one on Restoration Hardware, I actually watched a good video. Again, I'm going to shout out Jeremy and Holy Smokas. Restoration Hardware, and this is a broader topic. So they kind of cleared out their balance sheet to rebuy stock at a much, much higher price. And, I think the market is, there's a few patterns that we're seeing in the market, right? We're seeing volatility. The stock market has become so much more volatile. And now I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One, I think, is the crypto market, right? People are getting more and more used to volatility. People are getting a lot more used to kind of high dopamine hits, right? Whether it's because of their phone and crypto and other markets, sports gambling. I think as a society, we're just getting so much more used to like dopamine rushes up and down. And I think, like I was saying this a year or two ago, I was saying the swings that we're seeing in the stock market, these are just getting bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? We used to have big crashes. Companies would go down 20, 30, 40, 50%, but it was very, very rare to see such mega cap companies going down. Apple's down 8 or 9% today. And
Ben,
tomorrow might be
you
up.
would see it on a pharmaceutical company. You would see it on maybe a weed company a few years ago. Something penny stock, but the levels of mega caps, it's never
Yeah.
dropped. If you would have told someone Apple dropped 10% 5 years ago or 10 years ago, they would think,
$3 trillion company too.
Yeah. Yeah. The money.
look at all the money that's just been wiped out. Like just today, over $2 trillion of, market cap has just been completely wiped out.
Yeah. I think
That's a really great buying opportunity. Like, I wish I had more cash set aside for this. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I see a lot of people on crypto X being like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm shorting this, I'm shorting that. And like, they imply that they have a huge amount of cash set aside. I didn't set as much cash aside as I would have liked. I did buy about 50K of Meta today.
yes,
And
it's
that's
a
kind of
pretty
my
nice
play
decision.
right now, because Meta's down almost 9% right now. And I don't think anything changes with the fundamentals of Meta. They obviously have a monopoly still in advertising. I'm not lowering any of my Meta budgets. I still need to sell as much product as I did before. If anything, I actually need to sell more product now, because I'm just worried that, what's going to happen with tariffs. or my price is going to go up for products. I still need to sell things. All of my e-com is going equally the same. I have not seen a huge slowdown in consumer demands for any of the products that I'm selling yet. So that'll be interesting to see if people start to feel more cash poor with all of these changes. Are you guys buying anything right now, or what are you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
like?
I bought I bought a good amount today. So I kind of did two things, right? So since we started this podcast and months before, I've been steadily selling Apple. Most of my sales were between like 220 and like 260 for Apple. I just always I like Apple is my second biggest holding, but I just felt that it was very frothy, and I was happy to sell Apple. And over the last like 2 or 3 days in particular, I sold a lot of Apple before today and Microsoft, and was buying a lot of Amazon, a lot of Meta, PayPal, XYZ, AMD, companies that I think are a lot more a lot closer to being undervalued or significantly undervalued than those two kind of giants are. Victoria's Secret was hit. I know we have talked about Victoria's Secret before.
I
It was
love
hit
that.
like 23%
Does your
today.
girl wear Victoria's Secret, or what's your insider interest there?
The insider interest, I just think it's a good brand. Like everybody knows it, and it's trading at
If
like
your girl comes out wearing some other type of lingerie, you're like,
she's wearing no other
I
types.
ran the holdings in that
Well, Aerie, I
company.
think they own Aerie if I'm not
If she comes
mistaken.
out wearing Nova, what is that? The
Fashion Nova.
Fashion Nova? You gotta
No
send
She,
her that.
Fashion
she has
Nova,
the
no
Nova on.
Shine, no
Ben says
Fashion Nova.
Nova. We're done.
Nova.
Now I'll let the Calvin slide. I know that was in for a hot second. I still like the Calvins. So those are
You know, I
okay,
think it's
but
coming back, the juicy sweatpants. Like, how do you buy into
no
that?
way. No, that is just the TikTok OF promoting BBL people. That's not
Yeah,
the
but I
real
feel like
one.
we're re-entering the juicy era. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of like bullish on sweatpants that have like the ass stamp or whatever you call it.
I
Because
don't
like,
So
I feel like
bullish
girls are
on
gonna start wearing
Ed
that in
Hardy.
clubs and Miami. Like, I don't know. It's coming back.
somebody clip that.
Speaking of Miami, have you just to bring it up? I mean, it was just Miami Music Week, and a couple of us are based out of Miami, and we like to jump back and forth, but
What was that?
it was honestly a blast. Like I usually, I used to go out a lot more than I do now. But I went and I was checking it out, man. It was pretty lively. A lot was going on. Like I know you saw me post the price lists for the bottle service at Ultra, which was absolutely insane. Where the top package would cost $425,000, and that's pre 20%, like whatever they not
Yeah,
gratuity.
with the gratuity. What's like the
But that's
mandatory.
also so the gratuity. So altogether, you're looking at a $500,000. That's some serious coinage right
Who's
there.
dropping $100,000 at the nightclub? Because think
Some
about
So
how many.
I
I'm not even
actually
say you're a
I
billion.
actually found out it was apparent. It was like some international it was actually some international guys from Asia, some business. I forgot what it was, but
Jackie Chan.
I don't know if it was Jackie
Jackie
Chan
Chan
or if it
wouldn't do
was.
that. Hey, watch your mouth. Jackie doesn't need to spend money like
He's
that.
saying international.
Jackie Chan could just show up and everybody's gonna come through because it's Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
But
Jackie
it's
Chan's
it's for people. I'll be real. It's for people that get no play. Like
not
if you
even. It's
need to
not even
drop.
about no play. Listen, if you're spending that kind of coin, you're basically it's like pay to play. You know what I mean? If you want to meet the top of the top people, there's only gonna be certain places where they're gonna be. It's like
They're
that's
not at
just
Ultra though. They're
They're
not
not
at
going
Ultra.
oversized, spending 500 grand on a table. Like for 500 grand, you can get a crazy yacht. You can have literally the top talent that you'd want to have on that yacht. You could sail around the Amalfi Coast or Mykonos or whatever for at least a week. I don't know. I don't see the ROI on that investment.
Listen. There's no ROI. I think I'm gonna be real. It's low key degenerate to be dropping that kind of money. Like, cause all you're getting is bottles. You know what I mean? And like, obviously, you're just paying like 20x for a
I also
bottle.
lost like well over that in the stock market like this week. So to be
yeah.
honest, like at a certain point,
You
you're like,
gotta, yeah, you
maybe
should
I
have
should
just
have
you should have
taken it out.
cashed out, bro. You should have
Yeah, I'd at
cashed
least
out last
enjoyed
week
that
and just
money.
dropped the money on Ultra, bro. It would have been the same thing. That's what we were talking about. It's like, that's the thing about being so heavily invested. It's, at the end of the day, we'll have to like, obviously if we caught the top, right? Oh, I caught the top, boom, trim the couple here, bought a Lambo, bought this, bought that. But like the difficulty in catching the top, and then most importantly, having the discipline, having the alertness and the focus to actually buy again, right? When there's the most fear, the most panic. This is a game that's very, very, very tough to do. And I think almost nobody on the planet who's, maybe if you're investing $500, whatever, but if you're moving serious money, it becomes a very, very mentally challenging thing to sell the top and then not be scared and then catch the bottom. Most likely what's
Well,
going to
that's
happen
the
is it's
thing that
going
we're
to let
talking about. I
go
mean,
of the
listen,
sale.
you're talking about being a basically a day trader investor. At the end of the day, that's like what you're talking about. Like, if you're trying to get money out of this, if investing is a job for you, if it's your source of income, then you're basically running a race with your arms and legs tied behind your back. That's kind of you have to be so good. You have to, and it's like it's almost impossible to do it year over year.
Yeah.
But
I
the real
personally don't think day trading is a good career path. And I say day trading as like logging in every day and trying to make your money on the scalp every single day. I think long term, long horizon investing is always going to be the most profitable method of investing. You get Warren Buffett or any of these guys, they bought undervalued stocks, long term horizon, and saw, the $1 billion payoff. The problem is just the market's so volatile. So I say all these things with jokes. Like I do actually think about working at Chipotle because I think that'd be fire, but the thing is, like, I'm not looking at that portfolio as my income source. It'd be nice, obviously, if it was super high and, I could say, like, great, I'm going to spend all this money. But it does force me to be a little bit more financially conservative when it goes down. But I'm not selling anything because my main holdings, again, Robinhood, Meta, I have some Palantir now because I bought a little bit more Palantir at the beginning of the week, just with how far it's come down. I still think Daddy Trump is going to take care of all of his companies at the end of the day, and I'm interested to see how you guys feel about Tesla, given with everything that's going on with Elon right now. Tesla sales are down, which is interesting. And then, we're seeing all these Chinese cars. We've talked about this a little bit. Are you guys buying more Tesla on this downturn or are you just waiting?
I personally haven't bought Tesla since like 220, 225. Again, Tesla is tough because ever since I first heard about Tesla and looked into it back in 2014, it's been very overvalued. There's never been a point in Tesla's history with the stock where people can look at it, analyze it, run the free cash flow numbers, run all that kind of stuff, the forward PEs, the current PEs, and say, oh yeah, this is a undervalued company. It just doesn't happen for Tesla because Elon is so magnetic. So I'm not buying it at this level. I have a good amount. I don't think the path to victory for Tesla from here until they need to hit 1 trillion. I don't think that's going to be with cars. I just don't. The electric car market is getting really competitive. Granted, Teslas are all built in the U.S., so they actually are benefiting a lot from kind of like the tariffs and stuff. But I really think it's kind of the vision. It's the autonomous robots. These are things that are really going to change humanity. I'm not buying because it's hard to like bet on Tesla at this point. For how much more upside is there? There are better companies I think that could 5-10x from here in the next 5-10-20 years. But I'm not selling. I'm not very worried about Tesla. I think Elon, as long as he's alive, which knock on wood, hopefully nothing happens, and that always is a risk. So I'm confident that he'll take care of it. But are the returns on a year per year basis going to be amazing? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe, a few years ago they would have been, but now it's tough to say.
One thing with Elon that I want to bring up too is obviously Tesla still holds a lot of Bitcoin on its balance sheet. And it's interesting because Bitcoin they describe as digital gold, right? And I hold a lot of Bitcoin. I have like 2 or 3 Bitcoin, which is not a lot, but like it's solid. And I would like to have held more. But my concern with Bitcoin, I think this is obviously the thesis on Bitcoin is that it's digital gold, right? But we're not seeing Bitcoin trade like gold right now. We're seeing Bitcoin trade just like the stock market, up and down, based on whatever Trump says. And the general fear in the market also causes Bitcoin to go down. It's held pretty steady, at 82,000, but I'm not certain that it's not going to go down to 60,000, right? Whereas gold, is at $2,000 just a few weeks ago, and now it's at $3,000 and it's going up and up and up, right? So all those guys sitting in New York City in the jewelry exchange that everyone's making fun of, oh, why don't you have crypto? Why don't you have stocks? They're actually the super smart guys, that have all this gold
Well,
now.
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. On a long enough time horizon, who knows, right? I would say gold for many years, gold was flat, right? It was going a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, was generally flat and even going down a little bit. And now in the last year or two, gold is up 50, 60, 70%, something like that. So uh, well, you bring up a good point, though, and this is kind of what we were talking about offline. The whole purpose of Bitcoin is to be a hedge. It's supposed to be an inflation hedge. It's supposed to be a hedge against the stock market. It's supposed to be a hedge against other things, and it's really not acting that way. What we're seeing Bitcoin trade like is essentially a leveraged tech product. When the QQQ is ripping, Bitcoin's ripping harder. When QQQ is tanking, or like there's a lot of uncertainty, Bitcoin is either staying flat or moving down, and it moves suddenly. And I honestly really think, like my earlier point, I think the two have been kind of like commingled in a sense in a lot of people's eyes. Maybe this is because of the ETF. Maybe it's because it's a technology product. Maybe it's because the type of person that buys Bitcoin is also the type of person that's buying Amazon, Meta, Google, all those types of companies. A lot of potential reasons for it. But I really do think that fundamentally it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing as an asset class. Now, in terms of the technology, it's still doing the same thing. It's more our fault as investors and as buyers because we are panicking, panic selling, or panic buying and things like that. And it's creating a very weird dynamic where then you step back and you look at people like Peter Schiff, who've been talking about gold, and you might not agree with everything he has to say, but he has valid points about gold, about silver. But again, on a long enough time horizon, we'll see who's right. I would say in the last 1 to 2 years, though they have been right, but I do believe they actually. Well, I think we'll see a correction in both the stock market and the crypto market. So, and I think we'll see gold kind of go back down to like
Gold, though, it's
2,600.
like, say you're like a narco kingpin, right? Or you're like doing things that are in the black market. Gold is very heavy, of course, but you can still find ways to transport gold free of anyone's eyes or understanding of your transactions, right? Like you could figure it out. Whereas crypto, you still need to have a cold wallet to transport the crypto, and where the consumer market still controls the price so heavily of crypto, or like you could say some of these funds potentially, it's just a nerve-wracking thing to have it go up and down so drastically. Because if you're doing these huge transactions and you say you're buying some illegal stuff for, I don't know, $100 million, right? But then that $100 million is only now worth $50 million. And that's a big problem, of course, you know? So as
Yeah,
long as there's like that
yeah.
massive volatility and it's not able to like stabilize in some meaningful way, I feel like it's always going to have problems. And the last thing I'll say about crypto is that for the consumer side, the government is watching seemingly fairly closely the crypto markets these days, right? And we still have uncertainty about what David Sachs and his administration and the government that's controlling AI and digital assets will actually end up doing. But for right now, it seems that Coinbase and other institutions are, for better or worse, reporting to the IRS, their overall transactions. And there has been a prosecution of people that have not reported taxes to the IRS. So with gold, you could do whatever you want. I don't know. There's no way of them tracking how much gold is out there, what the gold's doing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's anonymous.
so yeah, there are very few people who are like moving bars of gold. A lot of the gold stuff is all done
You
bank
know of.
to bank.
Me and
Well,
Sam are moving gold day and night.
yeah, well, I mean, listen, if you're able, if you're like Gus from Breaking Bad and you got
If you're Rick
trucks
Ross.
and you could throw some gold bars into where the chicken stuff is, then yeah, you're fine. And maybe that's probably what the cartels are doing. But I mean, listen, most of the gold exchanges are bank to bank. They're involving bricks. They're involving like very like serious organizations. People are going from one bank account to another bank account, and it's a lot of the times the gold isn't even. Actually, it is moving, but sometimes it isn't. It's just paper like ledger transactions, but and it's moving from one bank account to the other in like Switzerland and China. With crypto, I mean, again, I don't know, why someone would be using Bitcoin specifically to do illegal transactions. It's not the best one for that. I mean, again,
But
Bitcoin
it's
is
in cold storage. It's hard to track who owns what
y-
wallets,
yeah,
obviously.
but Bitcoin is, but but I just think about it logically, right? I would just, someone would ask, or it makes more sense to do it in a stable coin or privacy coin or something like that. I don't think, I think in 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, Bitcoin was obviously used for that kind of stuff because it was like the only real. It was like it was the crypto was the number one, and like people didn't know about the other ones. But now with the thousands of coins, I don't know. I
So
just
do
would.
you feel like that has a big impact on Bitcoin, though, in terms of its long-term viability. That
In
it
terms
can't.
of its utility as a so I when I first looked at Bitcoin, I was like, this, as a payment mechanism, it's cool, but it's not fast. Visa is 100 times faster. Visa is also less expensive. Like there's just so many things that are faster, less expensive, and less complicated. And then when you come out with things like stable coins on fast chains like Polygon, on Solana, on Base, on ETH, and even ETH now is pretty cheap and fast. It just never made sense to use Bitcoin as like a payment mechanism, right? I would just always prefer to get a stable coin. And if I want to buy Bitcoin later on, I can. Obviously, then I have to start paying some fees and stuff. I think Bitcoin, that's why it's repositioned as like an asset because it's really not a form of payment. And just because something is a form of payment doesn't necessarily mean like it should become more valuable. I think this is kind of a large macro question.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just right now Bitcoin was supposed to be gold alternative. You see Michael Saylor still doing large Bitcoin buys. No one holds nearly as much Bitcoin as MicroStrategy still. But right now, obviously, we're in a bearish market. I'm still holding all of my Solana. I bought more Solana when Trump announced the reserve. It'll be interesting to see what happens to the reserve. We've kind of had that strong announcement kind of fizzle out to some degree for more of this tariff talk. So, and then today Trump was asked about, what's going to happen with the markets, and he sees this. He knows what's going to happen when he introduces the tariffs. People say Trump is not smart. I think Trump is smart. I think he knows that he's going to get a reaction out of what he does, and I think he's calculative of what the reaction is going to be. And I think he's well aware that the market's going to go in the direction of what's going to happen to it. I think his reaction to what's going to happen with the market was the market's going to boom, right? So he's either saying that and just saying that, out of his ass, which I don't think is true. I think he does have some plan, long-term plan, whether it's in a 3 month, 6 month, 12-month time horizon, that he wants to leave this presidency with arguably the best economy, the world's ever seen. Whether that's fully within his control or not is TBD, of course.
Yeah, and Sam, I want to hand this over to you, but let me just say
Yeah.
one thing. Like in episode 1, I think I was talking about like the difference between the stock market and the actual economy. A lot of us we really conflate the two. The stock market is, just the value of all the companies on the stock market, right? On the publicly traded markets. And obviously if the economy is doing well, those companies tend to be doing well, but those companies could be doing well and the economy could be struggling. The corporations could be making a ton of money, but everyday people aren't. And I genuinely believe that Trump, I think in the previous administration might have been a little bit more concerned with kind of the stock market and the corporations and everything. I think now it's less so because the mandate was from like the average person who does have exposure to the markets with their 401ks mainly, and maybe like some brokerage accounts here and there on Robinhood or something or Schwab. But if you look at what the admin is saying, they are reiterating, yes, there will be pain, but yes, we are erasing the old and bringing in the new, and the new is going to be better. I still believe that we will see all-time highs within this administration on Nasdaq, on the Dow, and on the S&P 500, but I don't think it's going to be as explosive because in an ideal world, say we can fix part of the debt, we can fix a part of the waste in the government, right? And we can get a little bit past 5 or 10% past previous all-time highs. In the companies, the country is on such a more stable foundation at that point. So the debt goes, the full debt goes from like 37 trillion to like 10, right? Just making stuff up. I would be so happy. Like I don't need a 50% increase in the all-time high price because it's just not sustainable. And the only way you could get that increase is by the government having more debt. There was a crazy statistic I saw. I didn't verify if this was true. I was just scrolling through Twitter. I was doing a bunch before this, but it looks like if you don't account for government spending, GDP over the last like decade or so is flat or down, which is a huge problem. And it explains exactly what's happening. The debt has been used by governments to purchase products and services that boost companies, but it puts the country in a worse and worse position. So I'll say this on record right now: if by the end of Trump's administration, the debt is, let's say they can wipe 10, 15 trillion off of it, and the market maybe gets close to all-time highs previously, I'll be very, very happy because we're just going to be in such a more stable and secure place than we are right now. Although personally for me, it might not be, the most financially beneficial.
Yeah. Sam, do you have any last words on this before we move on
Yeah, I
to?
was just basically thinking that, like we said earlier, this is a bargaining chip, and it's putting pressure on us. But you also have to think it's putting pressure on everyone else. You know, everyone across the world. I mean, look at emerging markets are tanking. There's people like those people have to answer to people as well. I mean, those, and the thing is with a lot of those countries, there's a class of people, you know, super wealthy people that really run the place. So when they start taking hits, when when their real estate markets start getting more shaky, their 100, 200, $300 million portfolios start taking a big hit, that's when the pressure is going to come. You know, like if you guys read Art of the Deal, I could tell you right now, the first people that come to the negotiation table are going to get the best deal because they're showing respect. That he's putting his arm out, and they're basically breaking bread at that point. So and then the whole world is going to see that, okay, this person made you know, he tried to make a concession, he tried to work with us, and we're going to give him a fair deal, and so on and so forth. And then the market could, you know, could rally. Because like you said,
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you brought up one of the best points so far. That basically Trump's MO is, let's put something really harsh out there, and then I want you to come and kiss me on the foot. You know, and if you do kiss me on the foot, then
you'll get rewarded.
you get rewarded for that. And you see that even with the people in the US, right? Like with these lawsuits that have been dropped, you know, against various people, like even Eric Adams in New York, you know, lawsuits getting dropped. You know, Mark Zuckerberg's trying to get the monopoly suit dropped. You know, now we have, moving to the next topic, who's going to buy TikTok, right? And pretty much everyone that's in the final running to buy TikTok is one of the guys that's courting Trump, right? And I think it's really interesting. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to end up with TikTok right now?
I'll be real. It's probably between I know Amazon is definitely, they just put out a some sort of proposal to purchase TikTok, which actually led me to pick up some more Amazon shares because to answer your point earlier, that is the main position that I've been adding on to during this big downturn. And as far as as far as TikTok goes, like you said, you know, his inner circle. I mean, I don't want to call it the inner circle. Sounds a little bit of suspicious, but you know, the main tech leaders that were there, they all have a, you know, piece of the puzzle. So I'm thinking really it's because between Microsoft and Amazon right now, because they both have, you know, they do have the money. I mean, I know for sure Microsoft has, they're sitting on almost $100 billion in cash. So they have a good possibility, and you know, they have the data centers and they have the infrastructure to support something like that.
I
Which could be
personally think if the guy that owns OnlyFans ends up, because the OnlyFans founder just put in a bid to buy it. I personally think that's the end of the world if that happens. I think that TikTok psyche is already so bad and that so much OnlyFans content already exists. And I saw a really interesting article that the reason that he's so aggressive, and it's also crazy that this guy has access to hundreds of billions of dollars, essentially, of his own net worth. And he's not nearly as prolific or outspoken online. You can see very few interviews with him. He just is not a
yeah.
public dude. But the funnel for OnlyFans content right now largely flows through TikTok. So there's not a lot of,
And Twitch. That's actually, I would even go as
Reels
far as
too,
saying,
Reels too on Meta.
I would go as far as saying that Twitch is actually just a proxy of OnlyFans, because and you could tell by this, because I'll tell you as a streamer, it only promotes two things on their main page. If you do gambling content, or girls who do like those, you know, hot tub bikinis, you know, or blah blah blah, or spicy content, and it's literally just a funnel. Like you click on it, it's just a funnel. You're like, oh, this is my OnlyFans, blah blah. And the problem is they're basically circumventing the whole age thing of OnlyFans, because who are the main people watching streamers? They're 13. We're talking about main 13 to 17-year-old young men. So they're getting the best kind of, you know, the literal best kind of audience. And you know, it's simple today. It's man, they can go, you can go get a gift card, boom, 1 2 3. You know, you don't need a credit card, you don't need a, you know, a debit card, you don't need any of this.
Yeah.
Or some of them, you know, they have clueless parents, you know, parents who are, you know, busy, like especially in this economy, man, they're working, they don't have time to, and they just put it on their card. Like a lot of kids, and the parents don't even notice, because the thing with OnlyFans does, I've been reading it, it does like super discreet like billing, um, which a lot of parents won't even see, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
super troubling, you know?
yeah, I mean, I'll just say quickly, It's really depressing, honestly. Like, you know, I scroll through Instagram Reels, and it's I don't have a TikTok, but it's impossible. I don't have like Twitch accounts or anything. It's impossible to like literally scroll without seeing a funnel for OnlyFans. Like, I mean, it just really isn't. But like
You
the
have to
whole, I mean,
curate. You have to curate your
you can
thing, and I
curate, but I'm
realize that
saying it's
you have to
impossible
block.
because
You have to. No, I'm explaining. I mean,
yeah,
that's clearly the content they're pushing. So you have to block
yeah,
every time you block one
yeah,
of those accounts.
yeah. You could put not interested and stuff like
I
that.
say
But
not interested.
yeah, I
It's
say the
just
Because
so
not
same.
much.
interested. Trust me, I used to do not interested. Not interested. Some videos don't even have the option of putting not interested. I
Yeah,
found out.
so just to wrap up that point, I mean, it's actually, you know, in terms of who buys TikTok, honestly, you know, the list, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Meta,
I
or whether it's
personally
Elon,
don't
I'd be very
want.
happy with any of those
Yeah,
because,
I'm
you know,
not
because
happy
for
with
me,
any of them, to be honest, because I feel like TikTok, unfortunately or fortunately, is owned by a non-US entity, but so is Alibaba, so is Tencent, so are a bunch of, you know, really important companies. Are they using our data for nefarious purposes? I don't know. Are they using their ability to basically brainwash the American population to be dumber or promote their prerogatives? I think yes. You know, you spend any amount of time on TikTok, it's not necessarily making you smarter or a good use of time, and it's highly addictive, but so is Instagram Reels. You know, it's not drastically
yeah,
different.
it's the
The
same at this point.
problem, it's very similar. I think it's worse. I just think the Chinese are better at software than we are at the end of the day, and that's just why their platform's better. I think if Zuck was capable of making a platform that was as good or better than TikTok, he would have already. He's just, the teams are not as good or motivated to essentially create that application. Amazon has done a lot to try to create a TikTok competitor. So they've had various programs where you can basically promote video content on the Amazon platform, because you just go to Amazon right now and you know exactly what you want to buy. You're a chick, you want to buy a Dyson Airwrap machine, you buy it right away, you check out, you're on Amazon for, you know, 30 seconds, right? It's a super efficient shopping experience. The problem with Amazon is no one's opening it, you know, when you don't already know exactly what you want to buy. So if they
It's
own
not,
TikTok,
yeah,
they
yeah.
can funnel a lot of this like content curation journey, TikTok shop, over to Amazon, but then they get to use all of their manipulative pricing practices. And the fees on Amazon now are approaching 50+%, you know, as you're trying to sell on their platform. So you can make as much higher margin selling on Shopify or your own platform, but you don't have access to nearly as many customers. The trust isn't there. TikTok is investing a lot in building TikTok Shop, and there's brands that are selling, you know, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on TikTok Shop now. You can launch a brand new brand right out of your garage. And unlike Amazon, where yes, you can launch a brand, but you need to invest in Amazon's ad platform, and then you're hit with those 50% fees. So I think there needs to be a playing field for e-commerce platforms where it's not just Amazon owning absolutely everything. Because right now you can argue, oh, there's Walmart, there's Instacart, there's these other platforms, but they're not nearly providing as much revenue to brands as Amazon is today.
Yeah. And I think Amazon, again, I think in terms of upside, it's really, I said this again before. I think Amazon will probably be the biggest company in the world within like 2 to 5 years. Probably bought like a couple hundred Amazon shares or something like that in the last like few days.
Yeah.
So
And
I
also, speaking of China, have you guys seen the speed streams and all that?
Yeah, man, I could definitely get into that.
yeah, take it
So
away.
it's actually pretty interesting. Like I've realized, you know, in the last like maybe 5, 10, even 20 years, China has been trying to like not really, I wouldn't say infiltrate, but they're kind of trying to change the perspective of how people see China, and you know, kind of just breaking the norms of like what people think. And all that money they've spent was kind of basically useless compared to just the main impact of speed coming there. So let's talk about how many subscribers he has between all platforms. He has almost 100 million subscribers. And not only that, it's like, it's not like, oh, you have 100 million subscribers, but what's the turnaround rate? Like when he goes on, we're talking about he's doing Super Bowl numbers. So this is huge. I know that just in his first 3, 4 days, he had 1 million new subscribers since he got to China. You know, the Chinese government, they're showing him around. They're really trying to portray China as this futuristic, you know, this really, really cool place. They were showing all the new electronic vehicles and all the cool features that it has, and kind of really trying to show that, hey, America's supposed to be number one. America's supposed to be the top tier, the big dogs, but it's looking like we've been, kind of just drinking our own Kool-Aid when there's a lot going on in China. I'll preface by saying this. It is a little propped up. Like, I don't know if you guys saw The Dictator when he was showing up, they were showing the fake supermarkets and the stuff like that. Like, obviously, it's exaggerated, but I'll definitely say it's a wake-up call to America that we need to step it up.
I've been to China. So I was in China for about a month while I was working for Amazon. I'd say the main differences between the US and China are we have a lot more freedom and opportunity. It's a lot easier to start your own business here. You can do whatever you want. Your life is not predetermined. In China, you take a test when you're basically about to go to college at the end of high school, and the score that you get on that test determines what college you go to. And that college is like either you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be a farmer based on your numerical score for the rest of your life. And if your family is not wealthy, it's almost impossible to become wealthy and really start your own thing. There are exceptions, right? Like Jack Ma, etc., but it's rare, and the government has a lot of ability to just crack down and fully stop your ability to create a company. But speaking on speed and just like the culture in China, the culture is super rich. They have incredible food. It's like, I think, arguably one of the nicest places on earth in terms of topography, waterfalls, mountains, things like that. It was super easy to get around. The people there are motivated and excited and hungry, regardless of what they're doing. I think Speed is extremely smart, right? He's obviously this goofy kid. He's very funny. He's very charismatic, but he knows how to go viral on the internet. I don't know if he has like a really good manager or he's coming up with all these ideas himself, but I think it's cool that he's going to places that are off the beaten path, right? A lot of streamers will go to like Miami or New York City or LA, and it's like all the same stuff at the end of the day. He's going to Brazil, Argentina, and then obviously China, and places that a lot of people may never have the opportunity to go to. So it's almost like combining like Anthony Bourdain's like no reservations with IRL streaming, which I think is very, very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know much about Speed. I never watched more than like a clip of him, so I don't even know what he does. I think he's just like this funny guy or something.
He's like
I'll be honest, I don't think he's funny.
he's the world's best. He's the world's
Really, dude?
best.
You're a minority. Yeah, he's super funny.
He's the
I don't
world's best
yeah,
paid jester. I'll put it that
he's a
way,
yeah,
man.
he's a
Okay.
jester. He just does like these like
But
reality
that's but
facial
that's
expressions, and it's like it's just so I'm not hating on Speed. I don't know him. I don't watch his stuff. I'm just saying from the clips, like yeah, when that little the Chinese kid gave him a thing of cotton, it's funny, but it's like
That's super racist, though.
yeah, but I mean, bro, I'm guaranteeing that that was set up. Like, there's no little Chinese kid bringing cotton to give to Speed. That's fake. Like,
I mean, listen, as far as China goes, like, I mean, it's half race. I wouldn't even say it's full racism. It's more of like they just have never like. There's like 95% of, I would even say more, probably 99% of mainland China people have never seen a black person in their lives. Like, it's that. That's just the reality. Like, they've never seen it. Where I've actually, because I used to watch a lot of these travel talk shows, where they are actually like from child to adult. They're like, is your skin burnt? Like, why is your hair like this? Like, they can't comprehend it because they went their whole entire lives without ever having any kind of contact. It's like the same way as if you saw someone who's purple for the first time. So there's a lot
I mean,
of there's a lot.
yeah, I mean, they see movies, so like, I
No,
think
no,
I think
no.
a
They
lot,
don't.
some of it's
I'm
like
talking
played
about
out.
mainland. I'm talking about mainland
Bro,
people.
I
Like,
know, I know you're talking about mainland China. Yeah, they have TV, they have Netflix, they have all that stuff. I don't know about Netflix, but they have
Someone in real life,
Chinese.
though, is different than TV.
no, I know,
They
I
And
have
no
know.
matter
Chinese
what,
Netflix. They're
no
not
matter
like.
what, you have to respect that this kid picked up a camera one day and was like, I'm gonna start streaming, and started streaming like him playing video games. And now he's going to China, has 100 million followers. Clearly what he's doing in China has to be propped up by the government. That's one last thing I'll add about China is they
100%.
absolutely 100% control what goes on in their country. Like the narrative, as Sam said, is 100% pre-written and scripted. He's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
doing
he probably
anything
got
without
paid.
full written. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he might even be getting paid by the government. I think it's smart, right? Like he has no loyalty necessarily to like one entity or the other. But what I think is extremely smart, as Sam said before, is just what the Chinese government is doing in leaning into like these content providers or arbiters that you can call them, right? Because this is what Trump also did extremely well during his campaign, was leading into the Nelk Boys, leaning into XQC, leaning into Aiden Ross, not necessarily speed, but just that exposure, right? Because you get NBC, maybe they're getting like 8 million views on like a really, really good like pay-per-view situation, right?
I don't think they even got 8 million for the debates. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
it's insane.
the numbers have dwindled so much. Listen, I'll just break it down this way. In the next couple of years, there will be almost like we'll have our 10 mega superstars, our Rocks, our Timothy Chalamet's, our the reoccurring characters and a lot of the same movies. That's why you ask, it's like, why is it the same people? Why is it always Zendaya? Why is it always The Rock? Why is it always Kevin Hart? Why is it always the exact same groups of people? But this is the thing. Even when you look at major companies now, Domino's, they're not using The Rock. They're not using celebrities anymore. You know who they're using? Those random, the dudes that eat in their car. Like they'll take the video of them eating in the car. There's like a couple of big ones, but that's who they're using now. And I've seen Chipotle, Dunkin' Donuts, all these major, they're not using it because it's the cost it's the ROI at the end of the day. The ROI with pushing it to your followers is way higher because you have a connection. That's the whole thing. That's the main thing where I could even circle this back to my YouTube page. Why I was able to grow so fast is because I'm constantly talking to the community. Everything I do, every time there's a comment, anything, I'm constantly trying to push, kind of like not like a narrative, but just like having people discuss, like an open discussion. So that just leads to way more views. And even my new channel that I started, the political one, I just had my first viral video. I started this channel literally 2 weeks ago, and one of my videos just hit 40,000 views with over 1,000 likes. I was speaking to Ben about this, and I was like, what was different? Because I always want to analyze every time a video does well, because you really want to break it down and try to understand why did this go right and why did this go wrong. And I realized it was a controversial thing. People in the comments were arguing with themselves. So the algorithm constantly was jumping back to my video because this person typed back and then she saw and he saw, and that's how the video started taking off.
I think there's still, when you look at like late night show hosts like a Stephen Colbert or like I don't know, I haven't watched these shows in like years, but whatever, Trevor Noah or
Jimmy
whoever else,
Fallon, a
Jimmy
Colbert.
Fallon, like these guys, if you actually look at how much they're getting paid, or you look at how much people are getting paid at like CNN, I mean, these are high 7, low 8-figure like deals per year. And I think there still is this like legacy brand belief that because somebody is on NBC, right, that they are charging so much money for these ad slots when the ROI is not there. You know what I mean? You might get like a couple 100,000 views, and a Coca-Cola or
See,
whatever
this is the problem.
going to
You're
pay.
getting only this is the problem with when you go to these people. You're only getting the people who, you're paying Rachel Maddow $30 million a year. The only people that are watching that are people in the Rachel Maddow echo chamber that want to hear every single thing she says is gold to their ears. When you pay an influencer, you never know. I can retweet it. He can retweet it. Everything, it can go viral. It can become something bigger than what it originally intended to be. That's the main thing. That's what social media is. That's why they call it, social media is like a fire. It could spread. How in the world would anyone listen? We were talking about it. The morning routine. It was done 100 times over. It was done 100 times
Thousands.
over.
So Speed is averaging 3.5 million daily average views. And that's
Exactly.
almost exactly the same as CNN and NBC separately, right? So just the
that's a
fact
whole
that this
network.
one guy is
Yeah.
getting as many views as the biggest news channels in the United States is absolutely insane.
I
And then
will
Mr.
say,
Beast, but
a
just listen
lot
to
of the
this.
views, a lot
Mr.
of the
Beast
views. Go
has
ahead.
30 to 40 million views a day. That's insane.
Yeah. A lot of those views, though, are coming from places like India and China, especially India, where there's
Not
not much
really,
they
because
can.
now what Mr. Beast is doing is Mr. Beast has his American channel, and then they have Mr. Beast Espanol, Mr. Beast Hindi, Mr. Beast.
No, but people in India, they watch in English, so it's like an English speaking country of like, and I'm talking about
Have his
mainly.
other language channel.
No, I know he has his other languages, but I'm saying
That's
this
where
is
the
this
people
is
are.
why I think, like, if you actually look at it, and Elon actually, I think Elon actually was bringing a point up I don't know if this was true or not. I saw it where if you're a creator and your audience is like mainly people in India, you're not going to get the same amount of money as somebody whose like audience is in the US or is in like the UK, because the purchasing power is like a 20-to-1 difference. And I think that a lot of these streamers get a ton of views. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they don't get a lot of views in like countries where people actually have money and with like people in age groups that have money. But I will say that a lot of those people are not like actually going to be consuming things that they're advertising. And that's why, like, the fact that Speed is getting more views than all of CNN, he should be making 500 to $1 billion a year, but he's not, obviously. And I think
No,
there's
no, no,
some
no, no.
delta there, but a big portion of that is because of who actually is watching the content.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, listen, it's getting there, and I'm telling you, it's the trajectory's 100% there. I could see in the next 10 years that Mr. Beast is 100 billion. Mr. Beast, between Feastables, Lunchly, all his websites, all his Mr. Beast games, the TV show, it could be $100
Yeah,
business.
I don't think it's far away. I just think
We're in the precipice of, we're in the beginning. You don't understand. This is it's different because you haven't watched streams, you don't understand how engaged people are. Build connections through streams. That's why it actually translates 1,000 times better than a regular ad. Because when you're watching someone stream, you're not watching a TV show. Oh, that's my favorite actor. Oh, I watched this movie. That's my favorite actor. I did this. I watched the 30-minute interview he had. There's people who wake up and they're watching him. They're interfacing with him on their part. And obviously he doesn't give a fuck, an
I
F about
actually
them.
thought of something. I
But
actually just
they're with him 8 hours a day. There are people who are chronically online. So if you're chronically online, he is not your internet friend. He is your real friend. Speed is one of the few people that you are interacting with. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, that
yeah,
you're
I don't disagree.
undervaluing the
No,
power.
no,
And
no,
this
no,
is
no, you're not here. I don't disagree. And here's, as you're saying that, it just hit me. Why is gambling and OnlyFans the top, and sex, essentially online sex? Why is that why they're promoting? Because you think about the person who's chronically online. What are they consuming besides food and like other like necessities? Gambling, more dopamine, kind of stuff that they can get, and OnlyFans content. They're not leaving the house. That is actually, and this is why I will say, go back to the Amazon point for a second, I really hope it's not the OnlyFans person, because the TikTok thing, if TikTok literally becomes just a OnlyFans a light, even more so than it is now, I mean, we're heading towards a really dark world where there's going to be like literally billions of like zombie type of people, especially like young men who are, I would say, very unstable and very
I mean,
dangerous and
we're
addicted.
getting to that point where Blade Runner, it's not a thing of the future. I mean, listen, how okay, AI is already adapting. So how long between AI and robot, or AI and sex bot, or whatever happens, that's what's going to happen. And then this is the way the world it's going. You're seeing what's happening. The top of the men are having kids. Look at Elon. He has how many mothers, how many kids? And that's going to continue happening. They're going to keep,
not enough if you ask me.
not enough, because those are the only
You
people
need at
that
least 30 baby mamas in today's world.
listen.
23 kids, 22 baby mama.
Listen, if you can afford it, if you can give them enough time, great. Have a
Elon's
whole
gonna have a
harem.
robot baby mama pretty soon.
If listen, it's
Listen, bro,
possible.
I'll say this: if you're looking for a really good job, being Elon Musk baby mama is not bad. I mean, it's what you get. You get 2.5 million in cash.
You get a
You get
Tesla
it.
Plaid.
You get a plaid. You get what, like a $2-3 million
You get free
apartment on
trips to
top of
outer
that,
space.
and $500,000 in child support a year for 18 years. I mean, it's not a bad gig. I can't. I don't know who's out there. If you're listening, maybe send out a tweet, hit Elon with a little see what happens.
He's actually looking for a baby mama too, he told me.
Yeah. Hey, something like that. Something like that.
But yeah, guys, we're going a little long on this week. I know we got some great points in here. Very exciting stuff. Sam, anything, Ben, guys want to close on before we head out?
Honestly, we just keep your eye on the market. Every single day there's something new. You really have to be eye on the ball, because things are changing so fast that you can't take the foot off the gas. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say, kind of what I say every time. make sure if you're, you know, whether you're starting a company, whether you're employed somewhere, whether you're kind of like, you know, investing full time, whatever it is, you know, make sure you stay solvent. And I really would say, you know, the funny money, a lot of it's gone. You know, the COVID funny money is gone. The funny money that we saw over the last, like, you know, couple years is also gone. And if it's possible, I would really, really encourage people to pull back from things that are like objectively like stupid and costing them a lot of money, time, and energy. Like, you know, cut back on the gambling and things like that, and the online gambling, the sports betting. Because again, these are the types of times and situations where you want to have that extra cash. And instead of losing 5 to 10K this year gambling on sports and getting super upset about it, you can literally be buying into kind of like generational opportunities right now. So, you know, that's all I'll say. And, you know, Dakota, take us home.
No, I love it. Yeah, I'm the same. I don't try to have all my eggs in one basket. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there right now. I think we're seeing a lot of new trends pop up. I'm personally really excited about new trends I see in e-commerce, AI, and I'm just trying to get super aggressive in that space. And I'm not staying up at night with where the market's at. I'm a long-term investor, buying good stocks, but hustling every day to get my other brands and businesses going. So I think the
100.
audience here is going to do the same. I know we're doing that. So yeah, I think this has been a good episode, and we'll take it into next week.
Love it. All right, everybody.
Take it easy,
We will
boys.
see you guys next week. Adios.
Cheers.
Peace.